Welcome to the Roadrunner 89 Swirl to Investment Network, where we talk about interracial love and marriage. Hope you enjoy Swirl to Investment. All right, how's everybody doing today on this fine Sunday? Good to see you, Beverly, and everybody tuning in. Today's show, I got a special show. Hey, how you doing, CC? Guys, I asked mods if you see any craziness or anything stupid or disrespectful, just block people. Okay. This show, I don't have time for any trolls or anything like that. Today we're going to be talking about a group of special ladies. These ladies were soldiers in World War II. Okay, these women were members of a women's Army Air Corps unit. Army Air Corps. Women's Army Corps unit, okay, the 688, okay, and we're going to be talking about their accomplishments and their service to our great nation, okay, and I want this to be respectful, okay. I don't think the trolls will come in on this, but if they do, block them out, okay. This story, I'll be honest, I heard about it just recently. Okay, I didn't know about the 688 Battalion. Okay, I knew there was the Women's Army Corps, and there was black women that were in the Women's Army Corps. Okay, back then units were segregated by race. And 688 was given a mission overseas, and they were, in my opinion, given a job to do to keep them busy and a mission that they didn't think that they could accomplish. Okay, I'm going to show you some videos today and highlighting these amazing women's accomplishments. Okay, and I'm going to be talking about the movie. Okay, recently a movie came out called 688, and it was about the 688 battalion and their accomplishments in World War II. It was an all black woman unit, and just in recent years, they were given awards for their service and their accomplishments. And, it wasn't really highlighted in history. And it's sad. Okay. But we're going to talk about it. And at the end, if you want to say anything about it, um, you know, and I believe we should honor all soldiers that serve our great nation. And unfortunately, back in the day, because of segregation, some units didn't get recognition that they should have, and the 688 was one of them. Okay, but it's good to learn things. Um, I knew about the Tuskegee Airmen. We learned about that in high school, but I didn't know about the 688 or the Harlem Hellfighters till later on. Um, the 369th Infantry. There's some things I'm learning. Um, and this is a awesome story. These women accomplished great feats. Okay. And they not only accomplished the mission, but they exceeded the standards. Okay. And but anyway, I'll talk about the historical part about it, and then later on I'll go in the movie. Okay. Um, I got some documentaries that I pulled up from YouTube. Okay. And I put the copyright disclaimer. Okay. We're going to use it for educational purposes. We're going to use it for, learn history, for commentary and opinions. And we're going to honor these ladies that served our great nation. Okay. And there were 588 of these women that served in the 6888 battalion. Okay. And now I think there's only two left. One lady is 104 and the other one's 100 years old. And I got a video of one of them. Major Fanny McClendon is still living. I think 104, and the other one is Anna Mae Robinson, I think is her name. But there's only two left from that battalion that consists of 855 women. Okay, did I say 588? I meant 855. Actually, one of my Army units was 588. So I got that mixed up. But 855 served in the battalion. Okay. Without further ado, let me go ahead and show this. Okay, making history.
By February 1945, America had been in war for 4 long years. Our military personnel, civilians, and the Red Cross were sent overseas, far away from their families and friends. And their only form of communication back home was mail call. But what if letters from home stopped coming due to a backlog of undelivered mail? Army brass understood the...
Okay, what we're seeing now, okay, World War II, there's a backlog of mail, okay? And if you've ever served in the military, been on deployments, or even doing training exercise for an amount of time, mail is very important, especially in a combat situation, okay? World War II, a lot of soldiers, paid the ultimate sacrifice. And the ones that made it through day by day didn't know if they were going to make it back home. And letters is a big part of motivation. It keeps you going. Knowing that, your family back home's there for you, they love you, your wife, your children, that keeps you going. And it's very important to have that communication. Back then, all you had was letters. Okay. When I went to Iraq, you know, we had better communication. We were able to call home every now and then. Not a lot because of our mission, but we did have time, and there was times we could do video calls, had satellite phones, stuff like that. Back then, they didn't have that technology, and it was a much more brutal war than what I served in, and my fellow soldiers. And nothing to take away from that, but they've had it much harder. So morale was very important. Morale can keep a soldier alive. Morale, and that letter means more than you think. And they got backlogged, and the army was overwhelmed. And I don't think they planned for as much mail as they were going to get. But anyway, let's continue.
Importance of mail and decided to send in a special unit to fix this morale-busting problem. Enter the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion, a group of all-black female soldiers with the motto, no mail, low morale. Next on Marking History.
And guys, subscribe to this channel. If you're into history like me, it's a good channel. Okay, and they put this segment very well together. Okay.
This is the historical monument for the 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, nicknamed the 6888, the all-black female members of the Women's Army Corps formed during World War II. The monument is located here in the Buffalo Soldier Military Park at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. It features a 25-inch...
Okay, this memorial here, memorial here is located in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Okay, and if you ever around there or travel through, go and see it. This is a part of history that a lot of us didn't even know happened. Okay. And sometimes history, sometimes things don't get passed down like they should. I didn't learn about this in high school. Like I said, I learned about the Tuskegee Airmen, the Red Tails, but there's other stuff I didn't know. And this is something that recently I found out. And, but it's a part of our American history. And these ladies, made a difference in the World War II, in the war effort to defeat the Nazis, and but anyway, let's continue.
Bust of the unit's commanding officer, Charity Adams, the first black woman officer in the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. The bust was created by master sculptor Eddie Dixon. 8 black granite panels highlight the unit's lineage with historical information, key unit pictures, and a list of the 841 out of the 855 members during World War II. Since the dedication, they have found 8 additional names. In February 1945, warehouses in Birmingham, England were filled with millions and millions of pieces of undelivered mail and Christmas packages intended for members of the U.S.
Hey, let me stop there. They said 844 names, and there were 855. It's a shame that they don't have all the names. What happened? Did their records get lost? That's, I don't know. They need to find all the names. But here, if you look in the warehouse, okay, let me rewind it a bit. Okay, sorry. Let me go right there. Now, this is only one area. The whole hangar was filled full of mail that looked like this. There were 17 million pieces of mail that had to be moved. And the 6888 was given the task to move it. Okay, think about that. 17 million.
Birmingham, England, were filled with millions and millions of pieces of undelivered mail and Christmas packages intended for members of the U.S. military and civilians serving in the European theater of operations.
Mail call from the United States of America.
Army officials reported that the lack of reliable mail delivery was hurting morale. One general predicted that the backlog in Birmingham would take 6 months to process. Who would take on this massive task? It was up to a group of young black women who wanted to serve while crossing racial barriers. The 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, nicknamed the 6888, was an all-black battalion of the Women's Army Corps. The 6888 had 855 black women, both enlisted and officers, and was led by then-Captain Charity Adams. It was the only all-black, all-female WAC battalion that served overseas during World War II. The group motto was no mail, low morale. Despite poor working conditions in a rat-infested warehouse, these devoted servicewomen worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day in 3 8-hour shifts.
Okay, so they were given not the best accommodations. Okay, the buildings they were living in were rat infested. They had to deal with that. They were working 7 days a week, 3 8-hour shifts to get the mail rolling. So they weren't even taking a day off to rest or recover. You did your 8-hour shift in a 24-hour period. So the mail was constantly being moved, constantly being worked. Okay. Just think about that. Sometimes we, and 40-hour week, like, oh my God, I can't wait for the weekend. But they're doing this around the clock. Okay. They got a mission they got to accomplish. And they're not given the best conditions. Okay. The Army's putting them in a position to keep them busy, and they couldn't get the mail moving. So they put the 6888 in there to do it. I think a lot of people didn't think it would get done, but as you'll see, they do accomplish the mission.
And they achieved unprecedented success and efficiency in solving the military's postal problems. It is no surprise that they broke all Army records for sorting mail. With the new tracking,
broke all Army records for sorting mail. Think about that. They did not just accomplish their mission, they're exceeding the standards.
System that the 6888 Battalion created, the women processed an average of 65,000 pieces of mail per shift and cleared the 6-month backlog of Birmingham warehouse mail in just 3 months.
Okay, so they were given, check this out, to get all this mail processed, they were given 6 months to get it done. Okay, they did it in 3 months. Now that if you watch the movie, and it's a good movie, and Tyler Perry did a good job on this. We didn't have to see him run around in a dress, but this movie was really good, and the historical parts of it, as I looked, a lot of it was accurate. Now I don't know if everything in the movie was, but what I seen, how they found ways to push the mail through. Like one woman was knew about perfume, right? And a lot of times women will spray perfume on a letter and send it out to the soldier. Women do that. My wife did that. And women have been doing that for forever and she knew enough about perfume to where, certain perfume came from, where they could track down where the soldiers' families were. So one woman was good with fabric, and they put it all together. They developed systems within to figure out where this mail is supposed to go, because some of the letters and packages had, you know, the information smudged off or torn off, and it wasn't. A lot of the mail wasn't just had a perfect address and where you know where to send it. They had to figure it out. They had to go through the mail and see, what unit it came from to track down where this mail is supposed to be sent. Okay. The Army didn't tell them how to do this. They developed the systems on their own. And think about that, and you'll see in the movie where they come together and they, one lady, oh, I know about perfume, I know about fabric, and the other lady does this, and they make it sound like they did it like spontaneous. It took a little time, and they had to find a way. How do we get these soldiers the mail and their families? How do we do this? Because you don't want to have a morale problem in a time of war. Okay, you want the soldiers to be motivated and have something that they can hold on to, and their mission was important for the morale of the soldiers, and the soldiers and their families appreciate that, right? Let's continue.
This unit provided essential support for the U.S. military in the European theater by linking service members to their loved ones back home. By the time the 688 had completed their mission and left France in March 1946, they had exceeded all expectations. And because of their success, it opened up the doors for other black women in the Army and other military services. After the war, there were no parades, celebrations, or confetti to honor the members of the 688 Battalion when they finally came home. But in 2018, 72 years later, a fitting monument was finally...
Okay, now this is unacceptable. 72 years. 2018, they finally recognized these women. And I didn't know this monument was there, but I retired in 2012, so of course, it wasn't there when I was in Kansas. It wasn't, I was at Fort Riley, Kansas, but I was close to Fort Leavenworth. I have been there. And I was thinking, wow, I didn't know they had that there. Huh. Well, they built it in 2018. Recognized 72 years later. I mean, that's shameful. That's unacceptable. And a lot of these women came home. They didn't get a big welcome home parade or none of that stuff. But because of their actions, because of their integrity, the soldiers that were fighting got their medal. And the morale helped to win the war. And, they accomplished a mission. They were given 6 months, and it seemed like an impossible task. And in fact, I know they were thrown in there to keep them busy, and didn't think they would accomplish what they accomplished. Around the clock operations, constantly working the mail. Maybe a soldier, and I'm sure some soldiers got the letter from their wife or their family and say, you know what? It carried them enough to where they could fight another day and win that war, win the war in Europe. Every piece of a military operation is important. We think about war as a soldier on the front lines with the rifle fighting the other soldier, taking ground and pushing forward. But the soldier can't do that without the logistical support, without the soldiers providing the food, the supplies, and yes, the mail. giving them motivation, uplifting the morale. Because these guys were going through, they didn't know if they're coming home. Think about it. You think that letter from your wife, girlfriend, family, you don't think that's important? I tell you, I haven't been through what these World War II soldiers have been through, but I'm telling you, the deployments I was on, that letter from my wife meant something. It was very important. Kept me going. I could focus on my mission because I knew my wife and kids were okay. Same thing with these guys in World War II, and they had it worse because they didn't have the technology we have today. They couldn't get on the phone and, you know, and even in today's world, you can't call home all the time. There's just, you know, so the mail means something. It really meant something then because that's the only communication you're going to get is a letter. So,
dedicated to those unsung heroes of World War II. In February 2019, the U.S. Army finally approved the Army Meritorious Unit Commendation for the 688.
February 20th, 2019. That's a bit overdue, you think? You know, a lot of these ladies passed on before they got the recognition. Sad.
And in 2021, the U.S. Senate passed legislation to grant a Congressional Gold Medal to the battalion. The Congressional Gold Medal is an award bestowed by the United States Congress as their highest expression of national appreciation for distinguished achievements and contributions by individuals or institutions. The House of Representatives is trying to gather enough votes to pass its companion bill and make the award official.
Finally, Congress is getting it together. After how many years? Wow. Okay.
The story of the 6888 Postal Battalion will continue to be an inspiration to those who aspire greatness through their own achievements. If history can be taught with stories, it can never be forgotten.
All right. Okay. It's amazing. Okay. And I would suggest you watch the movie and learn about it through the documentaries and stuff. You can look on YouTube. You know, you can do your own research. And, you know, and the women, there were 855. Okay. There's only 2 alive. One's like 104 and the other's 100. Okay. So, there's not many World War II veterans still walking the earth, okay? And you figure this happened in 1943, so yeah. So I think history is a beautiful thing we can learn about the past, okay? This is a positive in history. You see these women doing amazing things. Sometimes history is very negative, but we got to know it. You know what they say, you know history so you don't repeat it. Yeah. And this is an example like, you know, we should recognize all our soldiers. Okay. And unfortunately, that was a time in our history that we didn't recognize everybody. Okay. It's good we are now. It's a bit late, but you know, but anyway. Okay. I got a few videos. And let's see. Let me show this one. Another documentary.
Hey, Mom, here I am again.
Okay, this young lady is talking about her mom that passed that was part of the 6888.
Anita Fletcher says she will always remember her mother, Audrey Whitney.
I bought you lilies this time, Mom. They're beautiful. I can hear you talking to me, telling me to take them home because you don't need them here.
With each bittersweet visit to her gravestone,
I think that's perfect, Mom.
surrounded by hundreds of other Army veterans who have their own war and battle tales to tell. Fletcher says she doesn't want her mother's own story to stay buried in this Suffolk cemetery.
I've asked so many individuals, have you ever, even people that's been in the military, have you ever heard of 6888? Never heard about it, but it means a lot.
Okay, let me stop there. So that's a picture of her mom back in the day. Okay? And it shouldn't be forgotten.
To me.
Whitney served as a private first-class officer and is one of 855 women from the all-black Women's Army Unit, otherwise called the 6888, during World War II. The unit single-handedly cleared 17 million pieces of backlogged mail within 3 months in England, which held key pieces of communication between government workers, civilians, and their families. But the adventure out west came with its challenges. Commanders segregated the women from other units and forced them to eat and sleep in unhealthy conditions. But their determination to not give up is what sparked a push to recognize these trailblazers as wartime heroes decades later.
You could tell they were strong-willed, and they were there for business.
Now, they are just a few steps away from receiving the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal.
I've been on a mission as your advocate to make sure not just you, but even the rest of the women, that they will receive this gold medal.
It's a journey Fletcher says she didn't expect to take on after Whitney passed away in 2017. Inspired by the stern but generous woman who raised and protected her, Fletcher says now it's her turn to give back to her mother and the hundreds of other women she's never even met.
But this is not just for my mom, it's even the ones that's not here anymore. I'm advocating for them because this is something that's very deserving.
Fletcher's determination, etched deeply like the words on her mother's epitaph, is now part of a bigger effort to commemorate these women.
It means a lot to me to do something that's positive, to give people hope. You know, a lot of people have lost their hope. It's something to hold on to because legacy is so important.
Even when the women receive the medal and the nation marks them as World War II pioneers, Fletcher says she'll always remember her mom as so much more.
But I love you, Mom, and I'm glad that you were my mother.
In Suffolk, I'm Ann Sparacco.
Thank you so much.
For 13 News Now.
Hundreds of women in the historic World War II All-Black Women's Army Corps unit are now much closer to receiving the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal. With only about 6 women still believed to be alive, it's now a race to the finish line for the nation to recognize their historic.
Okay, this was some time ago. There's only 2 left right now. Okay? Just let you know, like I said, the one's 104 and one's 100. And there's only 2 left from the 6888.
Historical impact in person. Ann Sparacco sat down with the daughter of one of the service members who has fought for this moment for years.
I feel pretty good.
Becoming a part of something bigger than yourself can often come with a test of patience.
I'm hoping that things will go by a little bit faster.
Anita Fletcher from Portsmouth took on the role of her mother's advocate for the last few years. Shortly before her mother, Audrey Whitney, passed away in 2017, Fletcher learned her mom served as a first-class officer in an all-black Women's Army Corps unit during World War II.
I wasn't just advocating for my mother, but also for the ones, especially the ones that are still alive.
Whitney served with hundreds of other women in the 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, more commonly known as the 6888. The unit single-handedly created better communication between troops, government leaders, and their families. Now, President Joe Biden signed a bill into law recognizing these strong women decades later with the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal.
It was awesome to know that it was done, because that was the last piece to that puzzle.
After waiting all these years for this moment, these women are now racing against time, with only about 6 still believed to be alive.
We have a lot of older members at 100 plus. We do want to be able to give those medals before they transition.
But she says this test of patience will be worth it to keep her connected to her mother's history.
You know, you can see old ladies like me sitting on the front porch drinking lemonade and going back into history. Having that conversation, I mean, it's so awesome.
In Portsmouth, Ann Sparacco for 13 News Now.
True story now about a historic World War II all-black women's Army Corps unit is hitting the big screen soon. We first told you about the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion and its connection to Hampton Roads last year. Now actor and director Tyler Perry is making a movie based on the group.
And Sparacco sat down with the daughter of one of the women who says she can't wait to see Hollywood recognize history. It's all new at 6.
History can often slip between the cracks. But now a new film in the works is looking to shine a light on the historic World War II all-black women's Army Corps unit.
This is really big. I mean, this was 800 plus women.
Anita Fletcher in Portsmouth takes pride in her mother's service in the 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, otherwise known as the 6888. Audrey Whitney served as a first-class officer along with hundreds of other women who sorted through millions of pieces of backlogged mail to clear a vital line of communication during the war.
I'm so grateful that my mom was still alive when I actually grasped a little bit more of it, or what was going on. And she was talking about it, and more so as she got older. But I had no idea it was going to go this far.
After dozens of stories across the nation about this unit of World War II pioneers, actor and director Tyler Perry is shining a light on the women's historical impacts and projecting it on a bigger screen.
And when I saw the picture of Kerry Washington with her uniform on, it looked just like where they were.
Yeah, let me go back here. Oh, let me see. Dang it. Okay, there's the cast. You know Tyler Perry, and these are the actors. Kerry Washington was starring as Charity Adams, the commander of the 6888 Postal Battalion. Okay, it was a good movie. I really, the storyline was good. Me and my wife watched it, and at the beginning there was the one young lady that was in love with a Jewish white guy, and I told my wife, I was like, oh my God, I'm enjoying this already. But had a little swirl to investment going on there. Unfortunately, the guy didn't make it back home alive, but the movie was great. And Kerry Washington, if you watch it, how the emotion she put in there, sticking up for her soldiers, dealing with the racial problems she had to deal with, and the general coming in, threatening to replace her with a white lieutenant, and it's just very disrespectful and very condescending. The guy was, and she stood strong, defended her soldiers, and they accomplished their mission. In fact, there was a letter that he sent to the president at the time, complaining that they were reading the soldiers' mail, which they were. They had to open some letters to figure out where they go to. And when the letter got to the president, the mission was already accomplished, and it was within 3 months instead of the expected 6 months. So not only they accomplished their mission, they did it in half the time they were given. So they didn't just meet the standards, they exceeded the standards. Another example in history of Black women exceeding expectations and just showing pure excellence. And for me, being a Army veteran, it is an honor to be a part of the United States Army that these women belong to. It shows, integrity, and it shows, the resilientness that they had. to do what needed to happen, putting the mission above themselves and doing it with the worst conditions possible. But, there's the cast of the movie. It's on Netflix now, so I would suggest you watch it, and it's part of American history. We should know about this. Okay.
On the women's historical impacts and projecting it on a bigger screen.
And when I saw the picture of Kerry Washington with her uniform on, it looked just like where they were. Like everything else, especially with African Americans, is put on the shelf. You don't really expect for anything to come out, but this is a new day.
Fletcher says it's part of a wave of recognition for her mother's hard work keeping it in the spotlight for years to come.
I can tell you right now what she would say. It's about time.
In Portsmouth,
That's exactly what she would say. It's about time.
I'm Ann Sparacco for 13 News Now.
Okay, thank you, 13 News Now. Okay, that was a great segment, okay? Telling a little bit about the history, and, the lady that was telling the story about her mother, she's up in age. So it just lets you know how long ago this was. But, let's see here. Here's a segment on today's show, and this was, I think, a couple years ago during Black History Month. Let's see here.
Time now for Together We Rise. We're celebrating Black history by highlighting a trailblazing, all-female, all-African-American military unit from World War II. They had one mission: get the mail to the troops on the front lines. And nearly 8 decades later, the women of the 6888 are finally being recognized. 1945. The United States and its allies were in the throes of World War II, fighting battles across Europe and the Pacific. At home, a different fight was being waged as segregation in our nation continued. Despite that, millions of African Americans registered for the draft or volunteered out of a sense of patriotism with the hope for a chance at greater opportunities. 99-year-old Corporal Lena King was one of them, remembering enlisting after a good friend was shot down in battle. What were you expecting when you joined up?
I was expecting to do something that would be helpful in the war. I felt that I needed to contribute something.
So this is your mom.
Yes, it's my beautiful mom.
James Marshall's mother, Specialist Odessa Taylor Marshall, who passed in 2017, also joined the service around the same time.
Born in 1923 in Stanton, Tennessee. So anytime you can get out of Tennessee or out the South, you just run with the occasion to get out to get a better life.
Both women serving in an Army unit that would make history, the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion, the only all-female, all-African-American unit selected to go overseas during World War II. This hand-picked battalion set sail for Europe on February 3rd, 1945. Their mission: to sort and route thousands of pieces of undelivered mail to U.S. troops that had been sitting.
Not thousands, millions, 17 million. Okay. He said thousands of, no, they had to work 17 million pieces of mail. Okay.
For more than 2 years. When you got to the warehouse in Birmingham, what did you see? It must have been pretty daunting.
It was. There were just sacks of unopened mail, and some had been gnawed by rats and so on and so forth.
10 airplane hangars were stacked floor to ceiling with canvas bags. They developed a system of sorting with 3 8-hour shifts running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The 6888 Postal Battalion motto, what was it?
No mail, low morale.
Specialist Marshall's son James is also passionate about the battalion's role, especially being a
Okay, and because of his mother serving our great nation, he served in Vietnam, her son. And I would say, I just like to say that the Vietnam veterans, uh, I have the highest respect for Vietnam veterans because they went and fought in a time where our nation did not support our Vietnam veterans like we should have. And I think the Vietnam veterans were the most disrespected of all our veterans. And that was a sad time too. Um, and you know what? I'll say thanks to the Vietnam veterans, that those of us that served in Iraq and Afghanistan, that we were treated a lot better. Okay. And, you know, it's a blessing to see things change when, you know, from that time. But, you know, it just shows, you know, in my family, we're an Army family. My wife's family is an Army family. My wife's father served in Vietnam. And, you know, and just seems like the Army family grows. My son serves in the Army. So with my family, we are an Army family. Uh, you know, my wife, her father served in the United States Army in Vietnam. Okay, he was retired Army. She married me, and I'm retired Army. I served in Iraq 3 times, and then our son's in the United States Army. So, you know, it's like passing the torch, defending our great nation. I like to see that.
Vietnam veteran himself.
Have you guys ever been in the military, away from home, and you don't hear from anybody? The mail is just as important as a glass of water. The mail is important as a meal.
The Army estimated the 855 members would take 6 to 9 months to finish the mission. First in England, then on to France. They completed it in half the time.
We had promised that we could do it, get it done. So we had to keep our promise, you know.
Sorting approximately 17 million pieces of mail by war's end. And while they were celebrated in Europe, for some, the return home to the States wasn't quite as welcoming.
I think our motivation was to feel that we were making a contribution. We wanted to show proof that we loved our country, even if they didn't love us back, you know, all the time.
Odessa Taylor Marshall never speaking about her service, and her son only finding out more than 50 years after the war.
I understand that one time you saw your mom in uniform and you thought that maybe she was a Girl Scout leader?
Well, either Girl Scout or she was working for the Salvation Army, because that's the only time I've seen women in uniform.
Today, James has made it his life's work to honor these women, including his mom, through educating the community.
This was the real deal. She really did it. And before she passed, she says, I want you to have my collection.
Did your mom know that you were going to get this story out and honor her legacy?
Oh, she sure did. I said, I'm going to teach it, and it's going to be the most valuable exhibit that I will display as an outreach.
As for Lena, reflecting on her time with the 688 continues to give her pride 77 years later.
Although we didn't have guns, it was a moral victory, so we were able to connect.
Tell you what, it's more than a moral victory. Them getting the mail out put motivation into the soldiers, give them something to fight for. And I would say that saved lives, giving them, letting them have access to a letter to their family, you know. And a war ain't just fought on the battlefield with a rifle, okay? There's a lot of logistics involved. And morale and motivation is a big key in success. Your morale's low, there could be problems, a lot of problems. So their mission is very important.
Families give people a reason to know what they were out there fighting for.
The 6888, under the command of Major Charity Adams, the highest-ranking black woman in the military at the time, sorted 65,000 pieces of mail per shift. Some of these letters were addressed with a first name and a location only. The women had to figure out who and where that person was, and they usually did. Wow. Well, guess what? Out of that 855, there are just 6 living members, ranging in ages from 97 to 101.
Beautiful.
Here they are: Hilda Griggs, Anna Robertson, Romay Davis, Chris.
Okay, at that time there were 6 living. Okay, and I think there's only 2. Fanny Griffin McClendon is one. She's 101 there. She's 104, and Anna Robinson, which is 100 now. These 2 ladies in the middle are the only 2 left out of the 6888 Postal Battalion. Okay, so I mean, wow. But at that time that this piece was taken, there were 6 left. Now there's 2. Okay, and most people don't make it to 100, but these ladies made it. I think they all made it to 100, or pretty close. But anyway, that's an honor.
Cynthia Garcia, Fanny Griffin McClendon, and Lena King, who you saw there in our piece, who on Thursday turned 99 years old, got a call from First Lady Michelle Obama. And
Michelle Obama, yeah, that's a ways back when Obama was president. Yeah, so this piece was a few years ago.
next week, Congress is expected to vote on a bill to award the Congressional Gold Medal, finally recognizing the accomplishment.
deserved.
And they did approve it, and they did get awarded the medal, as we've seen in the other piece. So that's good news. Okay, I want to say, let's see, let me take this piece. I want to say, Cynthia Shields, thank you for your service to our great nation. Deanna Jackson, I believe you're a veteran too, right? Thank you for your service. And anybody else that served our great nation, thank you for your service. And those serving now, you know, it's, you know, I'm grateful for your service. I am. And I'm grateful for the ones that served in the past, present, and the ones that will serve in the future. Okay, and making history happen. Okay. Can't wait to see that movie. Yeah, go see it. See it. It's on Netflix. It's a good movie. You'll enjoy it. You know, it's just how the women come together, and you know, if you ever served in the military, you know, I remember when I served. You know, you go to basic training, and people are coming together from all over the country, and you know, people sound and talk different, and you know, you kind of get to know each other, and you bump heads a little bit, and you know, and you know, you come in and they knock you down, and you know, and what the Army does is they knock you down, your individualism, and pull you up as a team. You know, training you about how to function as a team. You know, because when you serve in the military, it's bigger than yourself. You know, you're a small piece of the puzzle and something that's greater than yourself. And you know, I just, when I watched it, I remember going to basic training, getting to know people, and you know, the conflicts, and you know, the biases people have because they're from different parts of the country, and you know, and then coming together as a team, and you know, and then you know, in the military, accomplishing things together and relying on your fellow soldier next to you. Um, I tell you, my time in the Army has been a blessing. Um, I've never been around a group of people that I was closer to in my life, that you get around people that will take a bullet for you, and you would take one for them. And you hear stories about soldiers that dive on a grenade, soldiers or a Marine that do this, and you go, why would they do that? They sacrifice themselves for their unit, for their squad, for their fellow soldiers, and you get close. You get like a family, um, because you spend more time with the ones in your unit than your own family, and you got to depend on each other and rely on each other, and you got to pull your weight. That's what I was used to. When I retired and came back to the real world, is like, oh my God, it, it was kind of tough to adjust because you got people that are seem more selfish, seem like it's about them, and you're in that team effort, and you come back and it's a different world. And if you served, you know what I'm talking about. But you know, okay, these are two ladies. Okay, well, there's one lady here, the Anna Robinson. I don't have a video on her, but I do on Major Fanny McClendon. Okay, and this is a news reporting.
New at 5, a historic
Okay, let me put this on the big screen.
all-black, all-female battalion deployed overseas in World War II is being honored with a new movie.
And one of the last remaining members lives right here in Arizona. Kinsey Beach joins us live at the film's Arizona debut tonight. Hi, Kinsey.
Yeah, guys, that's right. Retired Major Franny McClendon is only one of 2 women still alive from the 688. Now, ASU rented out this entire theater where Fanny was able to relive those moments and watch the film for the very first time at 104 years old.
Unbelievable. I can't believe that this is happening.
At 104 years old, retired Major Fanny McClendon of Tempe is realizing a moment she never thought would come.
You never believe that.
Oh wow, 104. I say she looks pretty good for 104. Looks pretty healthy. 104 years old. Wow. And from Tempe, Arizona. That's awesome. All right. So, like I said, she's one of the 2 left. There's only 2 left.
You would be in such places doing such things as we were doing.
As she sits in the Tempe Theater, the memories come flooding back. The 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, or the 6888, was responsible for delivering hope, 2 years' worth of backlogged mail during World War II.
The way they're dressed, that is familiar to me.
A new path paved for women of color, an unknown story now dramatized into a feature film, the 6888, for the world to see.
These women were excellent. They were, in fact, the epitome of excellence because they had to be. They had to show that they were better than everybody else in order to just be seen.
The movie can be seen by millions on Netflix, bringing to life the battalion's motto, no male, low morale.
We have a role to play that's as important, or maybe more so, in society, and we're perfectly capable and competent, and that was a moment in history that gave Black women in particular the opportunity to step up and show what they were capable of.
Current servicemen and women like Brigadier General David Birkeland from Luke Air Force Base came to pay their respects to Fanny and the 6888, admiring the adversity they faced.
On a good day is challenging, but to do so amidst the type of adversity and social challenges just makes it all that more inspiring that they were able to do so and do so with excellence.
It's been nearly 80 years, and the film takes Fanny McClendon right back to those days spent overseas.
We got through it, and I'm amazed that we did. Yeah.
Perfect snack. Now at 104, I did ask Franny what her secret to youth is. She says at this point, age is just a number. She's just enjoying every single moment. Now, this was a private showing here at Harkins Theater in Tempe, but it will be streaming on Netflix December 20th. Reporting live in Tempe, Kinsey Beach, Fox 10 News.
All right, amazing. That's awesome. 104. And you know, it's awesome that, you know, they rented the theater and put a private showing for her. And you know, I'm glad to see that, you know, General from Luke Air Force Base over there in Phoenix showed up and to honor her service. You know, that's pretty cool. You know that, you know, the town would get behind her and honor her. You know, it's pretty neat. And 104, wow, that's most people don't make that. You know, but you know, a lot of these ladies lived a long time. They must be really healthy and, you know, ate right and everything. Um it's pretty amazing. All right. Let's go ahead and remove that. And I'm going to show a video on let's see, Charity Adams. Okay, and Charity Adams was the commander of the 6888 Postal Battalion. Okay.
Movie The 6888.
Okay, let me put it in the middle here.
In the movie The 6888, we witness the incredible story of the predominantly black all-women's 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion and their overlooked contributions to the World War II effort. At the heart of it all was their commanding officer, Charity Adams, the first black woman commissioned as an officer in the U.S. military who fought sexism and racism to shatter barriers.
She was the first black woman commissioned in the United States military. Wow.
And play a vital role in the war effort.
All right, let me show that again.
In the movie The 6888, we witness the incredible story of the predominantly black all-women's 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion and their overlooked contributions to the World War II effort. At the heart of it all was their commanding officer, Charity Adams, the first black woman commissioned as an officer in the U.S. military who fought sexism and racism to shatter barriers and play a vital role in the war effort.
Wow. Didn't just have to do her job, and, you know, as an officer, she had to exceed the standards, fight racism, sexism, you know, all kinds of isms going on. But she did it. And she did it successfully, exceeded all expectations, done in record time. You got to realize that the Army was trying to move this mail before that the 6888 got there. You know, they didn't just do nothing and say, "Oh, here you go." No, they weren't. They didn't want to backlog the mail, but, you know, they got overwhelmed. They didn't expect so much mail, and, you know, during time of war, battlefield conditions, and you know, you can't just freely move mail around. You know what I mean? But, you know, they were given the task, and like I said, the Army, in my opinion, and I believe this, that they put them in there because nobody could do it. So to keep these women busy, and when they didn't accomplish the mission, then, you know, but they did. They did it in half the time. So it's pretty amazing, you know. And that's the thing to take away from it. You know, they didn't just come in and do their job and go home. They were working 7 days a week to do this, to get it done. Okay. Now this next video I'm going to show you guys, it shows Kerry Washington, Tyler Perry, and Tyler Perry got a hold of her Foot Locker. You know, a trunk with her uniform in it, and it's pretty amazing. Okay, and found it at a auction or something. But anyway, let me show you this.
Moments where I feel like they are.
Okay.
This is one of those moments where I feel like they are with us. I was joking with Tyler earlier that I feel like they are all up in heaven picking out their dresses for the premiere. So we were sitting in a rehearsal meeting, going over lines, reviewing the script, and a knock came on the door, and somebody had this trunk, and it was Charity.
That is the commander of the 6th Postal Battalion, Charity Adams. Okay? Think about that.
Charity Adams' actual trunk from when she served. It was extraordinary. It was her actual
How is this
things.
possible? How did they know that you were there to bring it to you? How is this possible?
The transportation guy was looking for cars for a World War II movie. He knew I was doing a World War II movie called 688. And he thought, wait a minute, I bought this trunk at this auction, and I remember, let me just bring it to him. And I was floored. We're sitting there going over lines for Charity Adams, and this trunk shows up at the door with her name and her handwriting. I'm like, okay.
Her name and hand. Did you cry? I would want to cry.
Goosebumps. It was goosebumps.
Yes,
Yeah.
goosebumps.
Yeah. How did it end up there? Wouldn't you pass it down to the family? That's a historical event. She was the first Black woman to get a commission in the United States military. And she led the 6th Postal Battalion. Did amazing things in the U.S. Army, and historical event. But to find that trunk, and if you looked at the clothes in there, they looked like they were pretty new. So she took care of them. Her uniform and stuff. You seen the shirt with the skirt, and it looked like it was like just recently made. I'm sure after her career, she didn't wear it. Maybe at special occasions, special functions, because you can. I could wear my Army uniform and special occasions, even though I'm retired. You can. I can't wear it around, but like in special functions, you can your dress uniform. But that would be crazy to find that. And wow, you think it'd be passed down to the family, like remembering the grandmother that served our country. You know what I mean? But that'd be crazy to find that. It should be put in a museum. An army museum where people can learn about the 6th Postal Battalion and see her, our Foot Locker with their uniform in it and how it was displayed back in the day. That would be neat. And showing old pictures of the battalion, marching, and they got some videos. I mean, and to have the actual uniform that she wore. I mean, that would be neat because you go to a military museum, you see old uniforms and how soldiers back in the day, the uniforms they used to wear. And it changes through, history. In the United States Army, they went back to the old World War II style uniform, the brown ones, and which I think look really nice. I didn't have that when I came in. We had the bright green uniform. We called it the pickle suit, but the new uniforms look really nice. They're expensive, but I always liked the World War II style. But anyway, but when I seen this and learned about what they accomplished, the only thing I could think of is why haven't we been told about this? Why haven't people say, well, racism, segregation, yeah, but it needs to come out. And I'm glad it's coming out. I wish we'd learn more about that in high school and stuff. Like I knew about Black soldiers fighting in World War II. I knew about the Tuskegee Airmen, but nothing really else. And then when you go in and you do research, find out people did amazing things, you know. But you know, I'm glad they did get honored finally. Um, you know, because what they did really impacted our soldiers, and I know the soldiers were appreciated being able to finally get Mel. Okay, um, you'll see in the movie where they come in and you see that the 688 they're training, and you see the women's army corps, and you see the white women soldiers getting treated better and being sent over to Europe and given their assignment and their orders. And you see Kerry Washington with her XO sitting there and like, hey, when are we going to get to go over and serve? And you know she's talking to and they finally get their chance, and they were excited to get their chance, even though they were given at first they tried to send them by ship with no escort, and that didn't work out. They had to come back because of dangers, because of U-boats, and they didn't have protection. So then they finally flew them over, and they were put in front of a hangar and a warehouse, all kinds of mail, and they had to work 17 million pieces of mail, and they were given 6 months to do it, and they did it within 3 months. So that's pretty amazing, you know. And this is a tradition of the fine soldiers in the United States Army that have gone above and beyond and served our great nation. And tell you, I'm forever grateful. You know, we the things we have today, the soldiers before us served our great nation to provide a better life for us. And but anyway, I love seeing the movie. And wow, where's my I'll drop the link if you want to come up and talk about it. If not, that's fine too. Um, Let me make sure that's. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, I was checking the link, make sure it works. But go and watch the movie. It's on Netflix. It's a good movie. And then study the history of it. Okay? Find out if everything in that movie is accurate. Because sometimes in movies they'll be pretty accurate, but they'll add a few things in it. You know, research it and watch the movie. Um, I thought this was a good movie. I watched a couple guys do a review on it and critique the acting and getting real in depth with certain scenes and that. I wouldn't say it was perfect, but the story was good. Um, Kerry Washington did a great job, and she's a great actress anyway. Um, but the emotion she put into it, the young lady in the beginning that comes into the military, and she comes in because she falls in love with this Jewish guy, and he's a Jewish white guy, and they they're in love, and he's going off to war. He's going um, fight in the Army Air Corps. He's a pilot, and he tells her, gives her a promise ring. I'll be back for you, and and she holds on to that, and he goes overseas, and you know crashes his plane in combat, ends up you know paying the ultimate sacrifice, and she finds out about it, gets a letter, and then she wants to serve her country, and so she joins the Women's Army Corps, and goes in and serves under the 6 Battalion, and the storyline with her, and then it's a good movie, and a lot of it's accurate from what I've seen, but I haven't gone through and researched it totally through. I wanted to do this video and talk about this and honor these young ladies. Okay. Um, and we should all lift up these amazing women that served our great nation. It shouldn't just be a black thing where only black people talk about it. We should all talk about it. We should all honor these young ladies, um, and all our soldiers. Okay. We should honor, you know, and but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this live. Um, I'll be going live next Saturday again. Okay, and what am I going to talk about next week? I forget. I posted. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I got a cold, so if my voice is kind of off, that's why. Um. Oh, Secret Swirl Society is going to be the next one. That'll be a good show, and I'm going to talk about people, interracial relationships, in secrecy back in the day when it was illegal and we weren't supposed to race mix and all this stuff. I'm going to talk about that. And I call it the Secret Swirl Society, where people would come together, fall in love, black and white people, and they would have to hide it because society didn't allow it. And there's a misconception that white men always had access to black women, and that ain't true. Okay. You weren't allowed to be with black women if you're a white man back in the day. Now, rich white men did it because they had wealth privilege where they could do stuff like that and have two families. Have the white wife with the kids and then the black mistress with children. They did do that. That did happen a lot. And you'd say, well, that's pretty bad. You have a wife. Why would you miss with another woman? And, some men love black women. And the only way they could be with black women is to do that, which sounds bad because why would you mess with the white woman? But that's what society allowed you to do. So that did happen. People were swirling since the beginning of time. That ain't a new thing. And in our country, it was happening a lot. People kept it on the down low. They hid it because society didn't accept it. But, today's world, it's happening more and more. And it's going to happen more and more. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Secret Swirl Society next Saturday. And then next Sunday, we'll have a prayer meeting. Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do it on yet. I'm going to say a prayer, and and if you guys have something on your heart you think I should talk about, feel free to email me. And but I try to make it to where because I don't know what goes on other people's lives and what they're dealing with. I try to relate it to just us being humans, and a lot of times I'll refer it to interracial marriage, but not just that. You know, I'll talk about serving God as a Christian, and the prayer meeting is just coming together and serving God. That's what it is. Okay, I'm no minister. I'm not no professional religious guy. I'm not that. I'm just an everyday guy that loves God and wants to show my love for the Lord. That's it. Okay, and if you're like me and you want to come and join in a prayer meeting, we're going to do one first Sunday of every month. Okay, so everybody's welcome to join in on that. We don't get as much views because not everybody's a Christian. So, this show today we didn't get as many views as when I was talking about white privilege and the Dusties coming in and we're doing this and back and forth. People like the drama better, but shows like this need to happen. Okay, and honoring and respecting the Black women that served our great nation. In my opinion, there should be thousands of people participating in this, but the Triple Secret Swirl Society. Uh, uh, but we need to honor these women. They're a great blessing to our nation, and it just shows when I learn about stuff that Black women do. Look, every time I search history, I'm finding amazing things Black women do. And I'm like, I always knew Black women were amazing, but wow. It don't matter if they were in the past, present, or future. Black women are amazing. Just looking at the 6888, and then the Black women that work for NASA, these women were amazing. They were very smart and like geniuses. I mean, Hidden Figures, learned about that. I was like, wow, why wouldn't this talked about? Well, the segregated time in our nation, they kind of put it on the shelf and didn't talk about it. But when you find out this stuff, you're like, wow, Black women are truly an amazing group of women. They're a big asset to our nation. They make America better than it could be. Serious. But I love doing stories about Black women doing amazing things, and I'll do that. I've done some shows about that. I like doing shows about that, highlighting their accomplishments, highlighting what they've done for our country, and you know. But anyway, guys, I got the sniffles right now, and I want to show you something. This ain't no advertisement. This is just stuff I use. I'm not getting paid to do this, but sometimes I like to show you some products I use. Like, you get a cold, right? And right now I'm dealing with sinuses right in here, runny nose. Okay, we all go through that. I'm not sick, but I got a head cold, and I've been taking some vitamin C packets. And I've been doing this. This here, these sinus rinse. Okay, you get the little tube and the saline solution, you pour it in and you just squirt it in your nose and it comes out the other side. Okay, what that does is it cleans out your nose, and your nose is like a filter. Okay, all the air you breathe in is filtered in your nose. That's why you got hairs in your nose, and the mucus, it grabs the dust particles and all the stuff in the air, and it stops it before it goes in your lungs. Your nose is, like your car has an air filter. Your nose does about the same thing, keeping your lungs clean, right? And in your nose, you're going to get dust and bacteria and colds and viruses and stuff. And what it does is it cleans out your nose and removes that, stuff in your nose, the mucus and the dust and the stuff, and it helps, clear your sinuses. And that helps. It helps me. Like I did it before the show, and I was stopped up. I couldn't breathe out my nose, and then I cleared up, and I felt better. I could breathe out my nose. And then I got this thing. I know you've probably seen this on TV. And why do I talk about this? This machine, it does the same thing. You put it against your nose, push the button, and you put distilled water with the saline solution. Okay. And it's a great thing. It could breathe better. And if you're in a dry climate like I am, it keeps the solution has salt in it, keeps it moist in your nose, so don't dry and get bloody noses. If you live in the desert Southwest, we deal with extremely dry weather, don't have a lot of moisture, and it helps with that. And this thing, it's called Navage. You've probably seen it advertised. You can get it at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and it's usually like where you pick up your prescriptions, and it costs $100. Oh, some water came in. Okay, and what it does is you open it up, you get these little packets, right? You put them in there, and then after you put distilled water in it, there's a line, you fill it up, you put the packet, you put it in, close it down, okay? And what it does is you put it against your nose, there's a button here to control it, and it just sucks the water through one of your nostrils to the other, and it cleans out your nose. And it helps with colds. It's amazing. Okay? Because your nose has bacteria in it, because the air you breathe, viruses and stuff, and just flushing it out. Okay? But if you don't want to spend $100 to get that neat little machine, just the sinus rinse. It's got the bottle, but use distilled water. Okay? Don't use regular water. Distilled water. And do it at room temperature. Okay? This is the cheap way of doing it. You get one packet for a rinse with distilled water. So it does the same thing with this. It's just the machine's doing it. And it's not high pressure to where it just flushing. It's gentle. It don't hurt or nothing. Just pours the water through your nose, flushes it out, and you get all that junk out of your nose. And you feel better. Okay? And keeps your nose clean. Keep your nose clean. But I want to share that with you. And when I do more videos and stuff, more lives, I'll show some items I use. I want to show you this here. You see my car videos, and sometimes you see that video I did where me and Sandy are parasailing in Hawaii. What I did is I used this. And if you've seen this is a GoPro. Okay, this is GoPro Hero 11. Okay, now I got some attachments. The microphone here. These are lights, and they're very bright. If you want to film at night, it's got neat accessories. And it's totally 4K, real clear. You see my car videos, they come out really clear. And I do that with this, the GoPro. This is a Hero 11. I got like 3 of them. I got the 8, 10, 11. They got a new one out. It's really nice. And I attach it to the car, And then the video I'm doing now, I'm using this camera. This is a Logitech camera, and it's small. It's fully HD, 4K, clear, and it's small. It's a small camera. I connect it to my computer. I can connect it to another camera, and it gives you very good quality. And and you can adjust the quality of video you want to do. And these are some of the stuff I use when I video. So if you're doing a channel and the GoPro is awesome because you can film on the go. Like I said, we're parasailing. I filmed myself swimming around turtles in Hawaii, which was pretty cool because it is waterproof and they got attachments that you can connect to your mask where you can see underwater real clear. Amazing stuff they got. Um, but anyway, with those an avatar, I need one. Bad Finish unpacking boxes. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, enough of that. I'm just showing you items I use. Now, nobody paid me to say that. Somebody, oh, you advertise. Well, I just showing you what I like, products I like. Okay. And keeping the nose clean is good for your health too. And helps with congestion, getting all that junk out of there. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. And I'm glad to see people doing reactions on the movie and the history of this. Okay. I'm all for uplifting our service members, our veterans, and those that are serving now. I'm all about honoring our great military, past, present, and future. Okay. Without that, how are we going to protect our nation? Okay. Now, I don't want to see our soldiers used for wars that really have no interest. In my opinion, I think war should be when there's no other choice, but a soldier can't make that choice. When they're given orders, they go. I see the 688 woman on YouTube. Yeah, it is heartwarming. It's amazing what these ladies did. Yeah, once again, that's the essence of a Black woman doing amazing things, being resilient, adapting and overcoming, having great character. That's what I see in Black women. And I don't have to look at the 6888 to see the beauty in Black women. There's Black women doing amazing things today. A lot of times it's not highlighted and we don't know about it. But, this is a great story. And I love watching old documentaries. I love hearing about what these women, what they went through and how they overcame, how they dealt with, given a mission that seemed impossible and ridiculous, where they were given the conditions were horrible, but yet they still made it happen. Yet they didn't stand around complaining, oh, this sucks. Why are they doing this to us? No, they just said, okay, we got a mission. This is how we're going to do it. And as they went through, they figured out systems. How can we get the mail out? Some only got a first name. Some, the rats have been eating through it and, sitting in the warehouse. How do we do this? Maybe some of the packages, the fabric they're using, where does it come from? They figured that out. The perfume on the letters. Where does this, one lady was like, sewing the perfume, she knew. And they developed systems. They found a way to make it work, a way to make it happen. And they didn't come home to a victory parade and honored. They weren't honored till, 75 years later? And very few were left? Like what do they say, 72 years later? Like, what? Wow. That's horrible. Miss Elizabeth Johnson said they treated better in London than in America. Yeah, that is true. Oh yeah. I hate to say it, but it's true. Um, I wish America wasn't segregated and had a racist element, but our country did. You can't hide the truth. And they were treated better in London. Yeah, the black soldiers were treated a lot better than in America, you know? And it should never have been that way. They're Americans. We should treat Americans like well. We should treat each other well. You drove the truck? Okay. A big shout out to President Biden for appointing 60 black women federal judges. Okay. But black women are doing amazing things. Okay. And this is one time in history they're doing amazing things. It's not the only time. Okay. Um, and we should highlight that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close, guys. But thank you for being part of this. Okay. Taking your Sunday out to watch this live stream. And I apologize for my sinuses. But I thank you guys for your support. And I love you guys. And but yeah, do some research. If you got time today, if you're not doing nothing, grab a snack, turn on the TV, watch the movie, the 6888 Battalion, and watch some documentaries on that. Get to know what these ladies went through and how they adapted and overcome. You know, and that's I just love the story because it's so positive. They weren't given the best conditions. They weren't treated right, but they still exceeded the standards. They still worked with pure excellence. We can learn from them today how to conduct ourselves, how to figure things out, how to adapt and overcome, how to push through, even if we're not given the right conditions, even if we don't have opportunities that other people have. We can learn by them. They didn't have the opportunities, but they still were successful. They still made it happen. And that's what I get out of the story. Nothing was handed to them. They got the mission. They had to figure it out. And there was no wiggle room. Well, see if this works and then you can try. No, you're either going to succeed or fail. And they were waiting for them to fail. But they still pushed through. They still made it happen. That's what I get from that. We can learn from that. Can Americans learn from black women soldiers that served our country? Darn right we can. That shows character. Not only are we going to accomplish the mission, but we're going to do it with excellence, with honor, and we're going to do it in half the time. That's what they did. You're so. Oh, thank you, Beverly. That's awesome. But guys, I do thank you for participating in my lives and my videos, and and I appreciate some of you ladies that sometimes don't agree with me, but you have love and you give me the respect, and I thank you for that. Like I said, I respect you for your beliefs. We don't all agree, and that's okay. But that's how we get through. That's how we learn. Nothing wrong with difference of opinion. Um, oh, thank you, Cynthia Shields, and thank you for your service. Okay. And anybody that served, thank you for your service. Okay. I want to say that. Um, you know, most people don't serve in the military, and the ones that do, thank you. And I want to thank the ones that support the ones that serve, because you're part of the puzzle too. You know, you might not be in the military, but you show love and respect to our soldiers and airmen, our soldiers, airmen, and Marines. You show them love and respect, and the sailors too. Did I leave that out? All our military members, okay? Show love and honor, show them love and respect. That means a lot. And actually, you're helping them with their mission by showing them love and respect. You know, because believe it or not, how people feel about our soldiers on the home front means a lot. Think about what the Vietnam veterans went through. A lot of people hated them because they didn't like the war. Well, it's not the soldier's fault. He's just following orders. But you know, and you might not believe in the conflict that's happening that they're serving in, but you always, you know, give the soldiers respect, love and respect. They don't get to choose what conflict we get involved in. They don't get to choose where they go. They just, it's time to pick them and go. You got a mission. There it is. That's it. So watch the video I send you from Dr. Mandel on sinuses and allergies. Okay, I sure will. Yeah, I'm going. Uh, I'm going to get some hot soup. My wife is sick too. She's congested. Um, so I'm going to be taking care of my wife while taking care of myself, and we're going to eat soup together and make some hot tea. You know, with some honey and some lemon, and you know, I'm off for the next couple days, so and so is my wife. So we get to rest and just relax and enjoy time with each other. And I enjoy time with my wife, whether I'm sick or are totally healthy. Just being with my wife is awesome. So I'm going to spend the day with my wife today, and we're going to try to get through this cold. You know, uh, but anyway, go see the movie if you haven't seen it. Uh, I think I'm gonna go watch it again. I love that movie. But anyway, I'll see you guys next Saturday. I may pop up in a video, and sometimes I'll do a live out of the blue. Okay, that may happen, may not happen, but I will be live Saturday and Sunday next week. Okay, Saturday we'll talk about the Secret Swirl Society, and then we'll have a prayer meeting. Okay, so tune in for that, guys. I love you. Have a blessed Sunday. Um, Go see the movie. God bless you and your family, and I'll see you soon. God bless.